Robert Redford gets Angie Dickinson's opinion at 93 years of age. Angelene Brown was born in Colm, North Dakota on September 30th, 1931, and Angie Dickinson was born on October 1st, 1932. Ascended the ranks of Hollywood's most dazzling and adaptable leading ladies from modest origins in a sleepy Midwestern town. As a child, she was distant from away from the limelight. Her German-descended parents were Frederica and Leo Henry Brown. Having endured the Great Depression as a child, Angie possessed the tenacity and dedication that would characterize her illustrious and lengthy career. Following that, after relocating to Burbank, California with her family, she went on to attend Immaculate Heart College and subsequently Glendale College, where her wit, charisma, and brilliance made her stand out. She had aspirations of being a writer or a behind-the-scenes worker at one point, but destiny guided her to the entertainment industry instead. Her acting career began almost unanticipatedly piqued the interest of casting directors during her appearance in a 1950s beauty competition. She started getting little parts in movies and TV shows quickly after gaining fame for her beautiful appearance, smoky voice, and charismatic on-screen presence. From the time she was a young girl, Angie worked non-stop, making appearances in westerns and popular anthology television series. The mid-1950s saw her collaborating with A-list Hollywood actors, which boosted her self-esteem and gave her invaluable experience. In the 1959 Western classic Rio Bravo, directed by Howard Hawks and starring John Wayne, she had her breakthrough role. Ricky Nelson and Dean Martin. A household figure, Angie demonstrated she could hold her own against some of the most prominent male performers of the era, through her portrayal of the tough yet tender saloon girl Feathers. Among Hollywood's most in-demand actresses in the 60s was Angie Dickinson. She stars in westerns, criminal dramas, thrillers, and glitzy romances, demonstrating an inherent talent for smoothly switching genres. Her performances were lauded for their profoundness, as she skillfully blended grace with emotional openness. The ones that she has one of her most notable appearances was in Ocean's 11, 1960, alongside Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack. She also appeared in other high-profile thrillers and dramas, where her strength and refinement shone through. In addition to her acting career, Angie became a symbol of Hollywood elegance because to her appearances on red carpets and magazine covers, who is also a style icon and a movie star. The heyday of Dickinson's career was during the 60s and 70s. After collaborating with several A-listers of the time, she became a mainstay in the film and TV industries. Her breakthrough came when she co-starred with Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack in the 1960 picture Ocean's 11, introduced her to a whole new demographic and bolstered her image as a stunning star who could hold her own in the spotlight. The Killers 1964, Point Blank 1967, and Big Bad Mama 1974 were among her other famous roles. In each she portrayed an adventurous and acting fearlessly. She bravely took on roles that were groundbreaking for women in cinema at the time. She could effortlessly switch between westerns, criminal dramas, and comedies without sacrificing her distinctive screen presence thanks to her adaptability. By tackling the seminal part of Sergeant Suzanne Pepper Anderson in the popular 1974-1978 TV series Policewoman, the casting of a female character in a law enforcement drama, which had hitherto been controlled by men, was groundbreaking at the time. Pepper got glammed up and toughened up by Angie. It struck a chord with viewers because it combined attractiveness with brains and bravery. Not only did the show get her rave reviews, but it also set the bar high for future female-led TV shows. Dickinson was nominated for and won a Golden Globe for her performance, and she became an inspiration to other women who looked up to her fortitude and autonomy. The fact that Angie kept working continuously in cinema and television even after Policewoman proved that she could stay in an industry that often preferred younger actors. Her portrayal of an isolated housewife in Brian De Palma's 1980 critically praised film Dressed to Kill, she possesses exceptional acting skills and the unique ability to humanize otherwise complicated characters. She kept busy in cinema and television throughout the 80s and 90s, picking parts that tested her and showed how she developed as an actress and a person. Vicki Dickinson's like her professional life, her personal life was full of ups and downs that molded her into an extraordinary lady. In 1952, she tied the knot with Jean Dickinson, marking her first marriage. Jean has a stellar reputation as a college football star who inspires all with his speed, agility, and self-control, a 1950s American dream. Following his retirement from athletics, Jean entered the electronics industry, which was experiencing fast growth in post-war America. Despite the couple's 1956 separation, the marriage was formally valid until 1960. In spite of the difficulties in their early years together, Angie's bond with Jean was important as she was establishing herself in Hollywood. She kept his surname Dickinson after they divorced, which is an interesting choice because it became her career name and the one by which she was known all over the world. This choice not only demonstrated her commitment to staying true to her professional identity, but it also set her apart in Hollywood, where being famous may greatly affect how long a career lasts. Throughout her marriage to Jean Dickinson, Angie also had profound and enduring friendships with a number of notable people. John Kenneth Galbraith, a renowned economist, and Catherine, his wife, were among them. The Galbraiths gave Angie a glimpse into a world outside of Hollywood because they were involved in the diplomatic and intellectual circles. Their connection opened her ears to thought-provoking discussions concerning culture, politics, and international economics, which exposed her to new ideas and put her in touch with influential and brilliant individuals. Angie paid a state visit to John Kenneth Galbraith while he was abroad, serving as U.S. Ambassador to India, an appointment made by President John F. Kennedy. The amount of time she spent visiting India was so formative that it was chronicled in Galbraith's memoirs, The Ambassador's Journal, and A Life in Our Times. In addition to demonstrating how close they were as friends, these allusions in his writings attest to the special role Angie played in the lives of well-known and esteemed individuals from fields other than show business. Marrying the legendary composer and songwriter Burt Bacharach in 1965 marked a new chapter in Angie Dickinson's personal life. Even at that early stage of his career, Bacharach stood tall in the music business. Known for his refined ability to melodies and revolutionary additions to the realm of popular music, they became one of the most dazzling couples of that time by combining the charisma of a Hollywood star with the brilliance of a musician. They were married for 16 years, which is a long time in Hollywood, but they did have their share of problems, complexities. They went through a separation in their later years of dating, during which they each dated other people but remained close enough to eventually get back together. This mirrored the complex dynamics of two driven and imaginative people attempting to maintain a healthy work-life balance while thriving in the limelight, while juggling difficult jobs. The birth of their daughter, Nikki, by Angie on July 12, 1966, was a watershed moment in their marriage. Since Nikki was diagnosed with autism at a period when the disorder was significantly less common, she had to overcome enormous obstacles from a young age, comprehended or backed than it is at the present time. In order to give Nikki the care and attention she needed, Angie and Burt gave up their lives and jobs. Nikki had deep and ongoing challenges, even though they were dedicated. She tragically took her own life at the age of 40 on January 4, 2007. Angie, who had been her daughter's staunchest champion, and who had labored ceaselessly to provide her the greatest childhood she could have in spite of her parents' hardships, was profoundly affected by her death, as were her parents. Throughout his own long and remarkable life, Burt Bacharach persisted, and long after his marriage to Angie ended, he continued to create, perform, and have an impact on the music industry. His death in 2023 at the age of 94 put an end to a life that had been impacted by music for millions. When it comes to Angie Dickinson, her marriages to Burt Bacharach and Jean Dickinson, as well as her responsibilities as Nikki's mother, have been formative in her own life. Her public and private troubles were carried with the same enduring elegance as the chapters filled with love, friendship, heartache, and resilience. Almost everything that 93-year-old Angie Dickinson has experienced in her life, 100 years of the brightest stars and worst plot twists in Hollywood history. In addition, she has spoken up about Robert Redford after decades of remaining quiet about him. The renowned Sundance Film Festival founder, actor, and director Robert Redford passed away quietly in his sleep on September 16, 2025. Rest peacefully in his 89th year at home in Sundance, Utah. The news sent shockwaves across the entertainment industry, bringing back fond memories of his incredible career and the unforgettable impression he had on fans of all ages. However, few people understood how personally significant the loss was for Angie Dickinson. Throughout their careers, she and Redford had worked side by side and crossed paths on many occasions. They were friends and colleagues who held each other in high regard. Her voice was firm but burdened with recollection as Dickinson deliberated before answering the question about her feelings on Redford's passing. Robert was one of those rare men in Hollywood, according to her. Not only was his good looks apparent to all, but he also possessed the rare quality of honesty, which is often lacking in this town. He was unyielding in his pursuit of independence, refusing to allow the studios or he changed his true identity due to the press. For Dickinson, who had battled for substantial roles in a field that frequently confined women to cliches, Redford stood out from his contemporaries due to his independence and defiance of authority. In the 1960s, when they were both on the rise to fame, she recalled their first meetings. "I remember seeing him when he was still this young, almost shy actor," he said. Despite what everyone would come to know, he wasn't Robert Redford. However, that spark was there even then. When he entered a room, it was palpable. He was bound for greatness, that much was certain. Being humble like Redford was a breath of fresh air for Dickinson, who was already becoming famous for her roles in films and TV shows. She stressed that he was self-aware of the admiration he received from his attractiveness and charisma, yet he never acted ostentatious. Dickinson did not hold back from discussing the difficulties women face when attempting to coexist in Hollywood with males like Redford. She did acknowledge that it could be annoying at times, if I must be honest. Opportunities were available to Robert that women simply did not have in his day. Every role he played, romantic, political, or rugged, received his whole attention. We women had to battle harder for respect because society expected us to act differently. Robert, on the other hand, had the respect of the women he worked with at all times. He always treated us with dignity and respect. An attentive ear was to his side. It was quite meaningful. She was quite complimentary of Redford's non-actor activities, including his work with the Sundance Institute and environmental concerns. Robert has other interests besides filmmaking. He aspired to make a small but significant impact on the world. When the major studios wouldn't even open the door for them, Sundance gave so many young filmmakers a chance. Dickinson noted, more important than any picture in which he appeared was the fact that he fostered talent. She took a little breath and whispered, "That vision, that generosity is something I'll always admire." Dickinson flashed one of her signature half-grins when asked if her relationship with Redford had ever been more than just friendly. "The question is asked all the time," she remarked while laughing. "Every woman admired Robert, and I was no different. Truthfully though, we were never romantically involved. Mutual regard was maintained. It was never more than just enjoying one another's company. Perhaps that's the reason our bond endured for so long. Our relationship was always free of baggage." The irrefutable charisma that Redford exhibited all through his life was nevertheless recognized by Dickinson. He possessed that rare blend of innocent naivete and manly power that was enticed, she thought slowly. His eyes retained their glimmer even as he aged and a line of experience appeared on his face. He could make you feel like you were the only person in the room, and that's a gift very few people have. Regarding his passing, Dickinson became distant, her words gentle yet brimming with authenticity. "Even though I'm sad to hear Dad passed away, I take solace in the fact that he did so in the Sundance house he had constructed with his own two hands. That was his safe haven, and I believe he would have wanted it that way. I will miss him," she continued. "Terrible, but I will also remember his life's lessons. That it is possible to achieve great things without sacrificing integrity, to become well known without sacrificing your privacy, and to follow one's heart while never losing sight of one's roots." Angie Dickinson held Robert Redford in more esteem than just a Hollywood icon. He exemplified the type of genuineness she had always valued, and he was also a friend and an inspiration. As she wrapped up her speech, reflecting on a lifetime of moments and experiences, she offered one final insight at the age of 93. Truly, Robert was exceptional. They stopped trying to win their favor.